Welcome to CosmoFactory, a podcast by Cosmoprof Worldwide Bologna, where we explore the entire cosmetics, personal care, and fragrance industry supply chain. I'm your host, Deanna Utrusky, and here at CosmoFactory, we look beyond the trends to discover the ideas, initiatives, and innovations that are truly advancing beauty. Let's get started. Today's CosmoFactory episode is a favorite from the archive. My interview with Odile Roujol originally aired in November of 2025 and is a good conversation to revisit while the CosmoFactory team works behind the scenes to refresh this podcast for you. And if you're looking for more informative and inspiring cosmetic industry conversations, you will find the full CosmoFactory archive of more than 100 episodes on your favorite podcast platform and at cosmoprof.com. We will be back soon with all new episodes. In the meantime, please enjoy my conversation with Odile. This episode is about venture capital, community building, and collaboration. It's about consumer beauty tech and social media tech. It's about identifying and supporting standout brands. And it's about early signals of what will define the future of our industry. Today, on the CosmoFactory podcast, I am joined by Odile Roujol, founder at Fab Ventures and Fab Community. Odile, welcome to CosmoFactory.
Thank you so much for welcoming me. I'm so excited to be with you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this as well. Thank you. In recent years, as your title suggests, you have built two notable cosmetic industry institutions, Fab Community and Fab Co-Creation Studio Ventures. The community came first, and I think, in fact, the first time that you and I met in person was at the launch for the New York City chapter of Fab Community, and I think it was in early 2018. So I want to start there. What is Fab Community?
Yes, that's true. We met in New York at that event. It was founded actually in San Francisco. And the insight was that I saw so many events in the Silicon Valley where, VCs were listening to founders pitching. And it was not a relationship adult to adult that I was thinking there is a need of some place where founders can meet investors and say the bad stuff, and share their vulnerabilities. And that's how it began. So it began at my house in San Francisco, with 90 people the first time. My husband was thinking, oh, wow, we will be robbed because we don't know all these people. And then we were invited by Google, Twitter, name them all, Silicon Valley Bank and others. And we have now 19 chapters worldwide, some of them in Asia, like Seoul, that is pretty active, and Tokyo. We've got in Europe, Berlin, London, and Paris, of course. And the most active chapters are maybe New York, LA, and San Francisco. We've got also Austin and Miami. The idea is to have conversations where founders and investors share their insights about one specific topic. So the last one in San Francisco was about AI and how AI is important for all founders. The one before was about multicultural founders scaling from abroad, like Parolive in dermatology and collagen in LA. So very different people and multicultural people.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And I know that one of the reasons why the community concept has become prevalent in beauty is that communities tend to speed up innovation and problem solving. But I think there's more to it than that. I'm hoping you can tell us really about the full value of collaboration rather than competition in these spaces.
That's true. I've got a feeling that, especially in this period of uncertainties, a founder can be so lonely. Don't you think? I've got the feeling
Yeah.
that you need to look good with your stakeholders, with your investors, with your employees, because if they know all the truth and they think the company will die in 3 weeks, it's not the best way to motivate them. So you need to have this place of collaboration with other founders and priorities evolve. So you need to learn from others in the conversations to be part of the well. You remember Dina in 2016, I think it was, paid media, Facebook. All
Hmm.
people were obsessed by that. Now it will be maybe TikTok shop and Amazon and search on Amazon and the whole ecosystem. It's evolving so fast that you need to be part of, conversation.
Right, right. No, that makes very good sense. And if I have this right, the same idea of collaborative support and ongoing innovation really is fundamental to Fab Ventures, which is not really, if I can say so out loud, it's not really a conventional venture capital fund. I'm hoping you can help us understand the operating model of Fab Ventures.
Yeah, many VCs will talk about their pipeline and saying that for 1,000 founders reaching out to them, they choose one. I will say that I have a lot of proactive calls. So I spend all my time on the founders and trying as an ex-operator and CEO of a big brand working with L'Oreal to help them with my skills and my network. But to be humble, I must acknowledge that the best added value is not by me. I would say it's more helping each other. Like let's say that one of them is about to sign with Sephora. He will call another founder outside of the meeting we've got every quarter to ask some advice and some input. And as you know, maybe he's not aware that he will have to pay for the inventories and it's costly, energy consuming because it's big teams and they're pretty much lean and alone in their company. And a lot of things that they don't anticipate that will happen maybe in 6 months once the product are on the shelves. So that's maybe the best value added of the Fab founders together. And mostly they describe them as a tribe or a family. And I like that. That's the idea.
Yeah, no, that makes good sense. You mentioned a quick example there, but I'm wondering if there are more specific examples of the brands or businesses that are now or maybe even have been in the Fab portfolio. I'm hoping to hear examples that might help us really understand what makes a brand stand out and what sorts of innovations make sense in beauty right now.
Alors, the best example I will have will be Bubble because in 4 years I've seen them so much evolving. I invested in her. I met her, by the way, in Venice Beach, close to where I am at Jelena, and she was late. And I was thinking, wow, that's very strange. And I was enthusiastic after because she was sharing she was about to sign with four key influencers with very different interests and communities. And she was a strong believer, and she still is, that the community is everything. And then you need for sure the best products that you can have. So then she signed with Walmart because she discovered that the Gen Z and Gen Alpha don't have a credit card, which is not easy to sell to them. And then she entered in many retailers that you know, Target, CVS, Ulta, in a more upscale positioning. But what is interesting is she has taken the opportunity that now, with the post-COVID years and all the uncertainties, a lot of people don't want to afford the same basket that they had in dollars before. And in a unit, for sure, they will purchase the same products, but they want more affordable products. So at the same time, she has pivoted to a broader target, but she's smart. So she invested also a lot in research, new products, new packaging. She's, for instance, at the AAD that you know very well, Gina, with the dermatologist. And that means she's more about science and innovation than she was before. So she's true to her roots and her DNA, but at the same time, she has evolved. Another example I could have is in Hello Biome, in the microbiome segment.
Sure.
You know, Elsa Youngman, she's a doctor and PhD, and she created a D2C brand, but she was humble and shy. So not the best maybe to be a beauty influencer. And we said that to her, and she was smart enough to pivot to a B2B model where now she's helping beautiful brands like Nutrafol, Keratin, or L'Oreal brands to understand the microbiome of their customers and to help them, to guide them in the routine and the products. So that's where I will say people can evolve and understand what makes a brand stand out is to understand that the market evolves.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's wonderful. And I know that you've touched a little bit on social media technology, certainly with the microbiome example there. This is what I would think of as very much beauty tech, but it reaches the consumer, doesn't it? I'm wondering if there are other ideas in beauty tech or even social media technology that you see reshaping beauty today.
I have invested in many companies in social commerce, so I love the topic that you've got in mind. I would say that the Gen AI, so maybe I'm biased because I've got my elder in computer science in San Francisco, but the Gen AI, it's like the same revolution as internet. And for brands, that means a lot. That means you can customize personalize your content according to your target and leverage your communities and transform it into revenues. So for instance, I invested in two sisters, ex-Meta. They're now in San Francisco. They were in Seattle, Nectar Social AI. They help key brands, and they were enough kind to, for instance, to talk to the Fab founders that can't afford to use their solution,
Sure.
but educate themselves about what's going on because they need one day to use this kind of tools. I invested in Trandio. They're the best on TikTok Shop. They're still in Seattle and is an ex-Amazon. Same for BuyWith in retail media with Ulta and Sephora that are using that kind of tool. So I would say that social commerce has a long way, to evolve, and it's an interesting space at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting. So it strikes me based on some of what you've told me today that your investment team is choosing to work with founders whose vision aligns with the direction that our industry is moving in, right? We're thinking about social commerce, we're thinking about the way consumers are purchasing, but there has to be a degree to which your decisions are influencing the future of beauty on their own. I'm wondering what you think about that line really between sound financial investments, but then the responsibility of actually shaping outcomes in our industry. How does that work for you?
Alors first, I back multicultural founders, as I said. So
Yeah.
we don't talk about inclusiveness any longer, etc. But from the beginning, even if I don't claim it, I think diversity makes us more performing and stronger. The second thing is I back change makers. When I say change makers, I was in beautiful corporations working on incremental innovation. Here, they are about disrupting the industry in a good way to better serve their customers. So that means they need IP, they need patents, they need to explore and to disrupt with true innovations. For instance, we've got in mind together K18 Air that was acquired by Unilever. I was one of their first investors, and he was the first one to educate me to the biomimetism and the water on the hair. Now it seems very banal, and I saw even Korean brands trying to mimic them. But at that time, that was pretty much innovative in the way to talk to people and to hairstylists. The same at the moment, I'm an investor in something that could be curious for you because normally I invest
Yeah.
only in the US companies. I invest in Dam Tokyo. So it's Japanese beauty. Many founders say to me, "Oh, but it's Korean beauty that is hot, not Japanese beauty." And when I've been the CEO of Lancôme, I had to travel every 3 months to Tokyo because the quality of the ingredients, the quality of the packaging, and the ritual with the wisdom of the Japanese beauty is amazing. So it's a mix of science and at the same time tradition. And Giselle Go and Philippe Terrien are again multicultural founders because they're not Japanese, but 15 years in Japan. They're about regenerative farm. They've got a beautiful place where they host some events. They're very Japanese in their way to understand the market, but at the same time, the humility of, multicultural founders that take the best of science and learn from different cultures. So they enter now in the US market with Sephora. In New York, the other day when we had an event, they were with, La Cabra partnership, and it was with matcha latte, and they were explaining that matcha in Japan, it's a ritual of 2 hours. It's at 4 p.m. and never someone will drink matcha with latte in the morning like we do in America. But they take the best of both cultures and they adapt and at the same time stay true to who they are and obsessed for sure by science and innovation. And from time to time, it can be new categories. For instance, I met in 2019, at the same time as I was founded the community Loom Lash with Nathan Harding, that is a CTO and a computer science guy in computer vision. And at that time, he said to me, I want to disrupt the eyelash industry, the eyelash extensions. And as you know, it takes 2 hours, it's every 3 weeks. And it takes a lot of time, even if people like to talk to their, I will say, eyelash stylist. So he wanted to offer that to Nordstrom and Ulta, and now they're proving that it works with saving money and saving time because it's shorter as a demonstration and result. And it's pretty amazing. They struggled during 2 years, to be honest, to developing the product for Asian lashes because it's not exactly the same shape and they didn't manage at that time. So I courageously invested in something very capital consuming, thinking normally I shouldn't invest in hardware, but from time to time I do that
Mhm.
because if we don't do that, who will do that later if you don't have the pioneer and the people understanding beauty? And now
Yeah.
it's tech investors, which is great.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's so interesting. I have a question about community building I want to get to in a second, but you're talking about multicultural founders, the idea of traveling, experiencing other cultures, living in other spaces, going into these community spaces to collaborate with other founders. There's something about travel, isn't there? There's something about seeing different cities, about seeing different markets, about feeling different cultures, like literally being there and having those. It's a different sort of community, but I think it's very significant for our industry.
I totally agree. That's funny because the other day I was talking to Chris Mirabile that you have met one day, Novos Labs. I'm obsessed by, as you know, staying younger for longer and more beautiful for longer. And it's about supplements and epigenetic tests about the biological aging and the root causes. He's a New Yorker, many years in New York, now in Miami. And they went to talk to people about, the root causes of aging and staying younger are not the same in LA, where people will do the cold bath and their infrared. And I'm not sure in New York you will do that. You will more maybe think about Botox and how to stay with dermabrasion and some Medispa at the best. And in Miami, it's something else again, because it's maybe about diet and healthy food and sleeping well and tracking with Oura or Ring how you manage your day, in fact. So it's exactly what you say. The best founders for me are the ones that meet a lot of different people and feel the different energies and the different ecosystems. Because it's never when we say the US market, it's such a huge market that we need to adapt. And the same for Europe. It's fragmented, different regulations, different languages. So you need to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you more about community building. It's clearly central to our conversation and central to your work. I'm wondering, since you've been at it for such a good while now, if you've learned anything about community building in particular that other industry leaders might find useful when the folks who are listening now.
I will say what we call in the Bay Area in San Francisco, the pay it forward culture. You know, when you, as a quick favor, you give your time for a conversation and insights. You don't know, maybe one day these people will give it back to you by a new introduction or a new conversation. So I've got the feeling that in LA, it's pretty much the same. There is this mix of the entertainment industry, the music industry, the tech industry, Hispanic communities, and same Black communities, very different people that mix and help each other. So I will say you're stronger together, and you're more creative with different profiles and different backgrounds. And that's a strength that I know, Dina, you believe in because
Yeah.
we talked about that in the past. So that's pretty much what I've learned from the community, multicultural founders and truly believing that they're the champion of the future of skincare and beauty with different perspectives.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Odile, I thank you for sharing so much great information with us today, and of course, for being our guest here on the Cosmo Factory podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you so much for listening. If you find the Cosmo Factory podcast useful, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and share your thoughts so even more cosmetic industry professionals can discover the Cosmo Factory. I'm Deanna Utrusky. Please join me again next Tuesday for a new episode of the Cosmo Factory podcast.